وقل رب زدني علما.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So alhamdulillah, we're finishing off the nawasikh. There's a mistake, an-nawasikh. So the 10th chapter, the 10th fasal regarding nawasikh. So now we're discussing la linafi al-jins. So we have the nawasikh, and the nasikh that we're discussing here is la linafi al-jins. So just like inna, what does inna do? When you have inna before a jumla ismiya, inna comes, and it makes the ism mansoob and the khabar marfu'. So what he's saying here, the same thing. This is the mubtada. Unlike inna is la an-nafiyatu lil jinsi. So like inna is the particle la, which is there to negate jins. What does that mean? When you want to say no, whatever comes after la. So for example, if you want to say ar-rajulu fiddar, the man is in the house. If you want to say the man is not the man is not in the house, but not a single man is in the house. Like no man is in the house, no child is in the house. You have, for example, al-walad. What do you say? Not a single child is in the house. Then you can add a la. You add a la here, and this la will negate the entire species, every single rajul. It will negate every single walad. And because it's just like, let's say for example, if you have here, for example here, hadirun khabar. So then the ism will become, what state will rajul become? Mansoob. I'll explain a bit more detail shortly. And al-walad also becomes has a fatha here, like that. Do you understand? Do you understand? Yes? So when you have la linafi al-jins, it negates the entire ism. And it just like inna, the first ism becomes mansoob and the khabar becomes marfu. However, there's a few differences between the lakin amaluha khasun bil munakkarati al-muttasilati biha. That la linafi al-jins only does amal is khas, meaning its governance is khas, specific to munakkarat, meaning nakira words, number one. And number two, the nakira must be muttasil biha. There can't be any space between the nakira word and the la linafi al-jins. So for example, look here. La tushrik billah. What do we have here? La tushrik billah. So now la tushrik billah, is this la linafi al-jins? No, it's not, because it doesn't come on an ism. It's not an ism, which is nakira. There's no ism, which is nakira. So therefore it becomes what? It's not la linafi al-jins, it's la an-nahiya. Yes? So it has to come on an ism, which is nakira. This is not la linafi al-jins. Similarly, la fiha ghawlun. So ghawlun means like headaches and or any distresses or whatever. So now between the la linafi al-jins and the ghawl, is there muttasil or there space between the two of them? What is there? A fasila. So between the la linafi al-jins and between the ism of la linafi al-jins, we have a fasila. Because of this, it doesn't do amal. It doesn't become mansoob. So this la only does amal when it comes on an ism which is nakira and there's no space. If there's a fasila between, it wouldn't do amal. Instead, it will la ta'amal, it will not do amal, and it will also have to repeat it. So for example, you have to say, this is no amal, and you have to put another la. So la fiha ghawrun wa la hum anha yunzafun. There's another la as well. So when you have la linafi al-jins and there's a fasila in between, not only does it not do amal, you also bring another la usually. That's not mentioned in the book, but it's a bit of a tip to remember going forward. Has everybody understood? Yes? Can you repeat what? Yeah. If the la linafi al-jins is not joined directly muttasil, there's a fasila in between, then it doesn't do amal, so it's not la ghawla, it becomes la ghawlun. Understood that much? Yes? But also, you also have to bring, you can't just have la fiha ghawlun, you have to bring another la. So when there's a fasila in between, then you have to bring another la. So la fiha ghawlun wa la hum anha yunzafun. Yes? Yes, okay. You can call it la nafiya. So what will happen sometimes? The scholar when you look at Irab al-Quran, some people say it's la nafi al-jins. Yes, and some say it's not. Some say it's not nafi al-jins because it no longer does amal. So some call it la nafiya. You know you have ma, la, and la that resemble laysa. Then sughra. This is it resemble this. It goes on that level now. Do you understand? Are you following? Yes. Okay. Everybody understand so far? Okay. Now we're moving forward. We have to remember something here. What happens? What's the i'rab of the ism of la? Now, first thing to remember is that every ism must have an i'rab. If an ism is mabni, it will have one fixed haraka, but it will still have mahall i'rab. Yes? So it will be fi mahall nasb. So for example, if you say huwa Allahu, you say ana Muhammad, ana Hashim. Because ana is mabni, what i'rab does it have? It has to have an i'rab what? Mahalli. Yes? It's mabni al-fath, but mahall is marfu because it's mubtada. Yes? So every noun has an i'rab mahalli. So now we're looking here at the i'rab of la linafi al-jins is ism. So if you look at the ism of la, the first easiest one, even though it's at the end, the easiest one is what? If la linafi al-jins is mudaf, or if la linafi al-jins ism is not mudaf but shabihun bil mudaf. I'll explain that shortly. Then you make it mansub. For example, if you say for example, la, we say for example, la waladam ra'atin. No woman's child is present. So look, what's happening here? The ism of la linafi jins is what? Walada imra'atin. So walada becomes what? Mansub because it's mudaf. So if you have a la linafi jins is ism as a mudaf, it becomes what? It becomes what? Mansub. Understood? Yes? Are you following? Right. Now what does shabihun bil mudaf mean? Shabihun bil mudaf. Shabihun bil mudaf. Shabihun bil mudaf means. Okay, let's understand. What does a mudaf do to the mudaf ilay? Remember in awamil we said what? What's the amil of the mudaf ilay? What makes a mudaf ilay majroor? The ism mudaf. So the mudaf governs the word after it. What happens? The mudaf does what? It governs the noun after it. So because the mudaf governs the noun after it, if there's another noun which does amal on the noun after it, you call it shabihun bil mudaf. That noun which resembles the mudaf in this aspect, that it also does amal on the word after it. So in this scenario, it will also be mansub. For example, if I say la qari'an al-Qur'ana, la qari'an al-Qur'ana mawjudun. No qari of the Quran is present. So what's happening here now? Qari'an, what's it becoming? This is a ism al-fa'il. Why is Quran mansub? It's a maf'ulun bihi of the qari, ism al-fa'il. So it is resembling a mudaf in this aspect that this is an amil and it governs this word. Because it governs that, it's shabihun bil mudaf. So this will also be mansub. La qari'an al-Qur'ana. An easy example without any complication with the harakat would be la tali'an, nobody who's climbing the mountain. La tali'an jabalan mawjudun. No mountain climber. So jabalan is maf'ul bihi of what? Tali'an. So it's shabihun bil mudaf. It resembles mudaf. How does it resemble mudaf tali'an? That it governs the word after it. So if it's shabihun bil mudaf, then in these two cases, both of these words becomes what? Mansoob. Understood? Yes? No, so his question is that, is it not going to make it majroor? So it doesn't mean mushabih in every aspect. Not mushabih in what i'rab it gives. It is mushabih in the fact that it gives the i'rab. Yes? You following? Yes? G. Okay. Now there's one issue here. Now sometimes in certain science, like, okay, it's too late to change stuff. The word mufrad is a bit confusing. Because the word mufrad has two meanings. It has different meanings. One mufrad means singular, and one mufrad means a single word not comprised of a mudaf, mudaf ilayh, or man'ut not. So mufrad here doesn't mean singular. So we use the word mufrad to mean singular, but it's better to say what? So we're going to call that one muwahhid. Some also call it muwahhid, meaning singular.
Because basically, if you give into your right,
so if you've got a single word, what does singular mean? Not singular. Singular means what? Not mudaf, or not shabihun bil mudaf. So if the ism of la is not what? A composition, it's not made up of mudaf, mudaf ilayh. Nor is it shabihun bil mudaf, mudaf ilayh. It's a single word. Whether it's muwahhad, singular, or whether it's jama' mukassar. In this scenario, it becomes what? You see, it's mabniyun al fathi. So it's mahallan mansoob, but mabni al fath, because the ism is always mansoob. So it's mahallan mansoob, the slot is mansoob, but the harakah is mabni al fath. So for example, you would say, for example, la, for example, today, there's no more, it's locked on today, so la taliban, la taliba fil madrasa. There is no student in madrasa today. So la taliba fil madrasati. So because la taliba is a single word, not mudaf, mudaf ilayh. Now, one school of thought, the Kufi school of thought, they say simple. They say it's not mabni al-fath, it's just mansoob, khalas. That's how they keep it. They keep it simple. But the school of thought that we are following and the school of thought that Ibn Hisham follows, you say it's not mansoob, it's mabni al-fath. What's the difference? When you go much more detail, you'll find out. But we have to stick with the book. So if you say it's mansoob, some scholars have said that. But this school of thought says no, it's mabni al-fath, not mansoob. But if it's mabni al-fath, it's still mahallan mansoob. So they say la taliba fil madrasati. There is no student in the madrasa. So it's a single word. So the ism will be mabni al-fath in a mahallan mansoob, the mansoob slot. If it's muthanna or jama', what's going to happen? It's going to be mansoob on the alamatun nasab. It's going to be mabni on what? It's going to be mabni with the alamatun nasab. So when you have muthanna, what's the i'rab of the muthanna of the mansoob state of a muthanna is how? How is the mansoob state of a muthanna expressed? Rajulun becomes what? Raju? Layni. Mansoob state is rajulaini. And the plural will be what? Muslimina. So what we're saying here, it becomes mabni al-ya. Because it's a mansoob bil-ya, so it becomes mabni al-ya. Why not mansoob? It will be much easier. They've got the reasons for it. But if you say mansoob, it will be much easier, but we can't do that. But in the initial books and within last year, we never done all the complications. We said it's mansoob. It's easier, the Kufi school of thought. But here, because in Hisham, the Basri school, you have to say that it's mabni al-ya. Why do that later if you're interested? It's not going to accept it and go on. And if it's jama' bita, it's mabni al-fathi or al-kasri. So for example, say there are no female students in madrasa. So la talibat fil madrasa. Now there's two opinions regarding this. One is, you make it a fatha, la talibata. Like say la rajula, la taliba here is fatha. You say la talibat is fatha here as well. And the other opinion is, well, no, it's mabni ala alamat al-fath. When taliba is mansoob, was it talibatun, talibatin, talibatin? So you make it mansoob with the kasra. You make it not mansoob, you make it mabni ala al-kasra. But it's two opinions. You can have it mabni ala al-fath or mabni ala al-kasr. Mabni ala al-kasra because kasra is the alamat al-nasab of the jam'u bit-ta, or fatha doing qiyas and analogy on the singular word. So in summary, what do we have? In summary, we have simple one is if it's mudaf or shabihun bil mudaf, then what happens? It becomes mansoob. Not even mabni, it's mansoob easy. La walada imra'atin la tali'an jabalan. And if it's a mufrad, not mudaf ilayh, then it's mabni on the alamatun nasab. However, whatever state, whatever haraka or alama is used to express the mansoob state, it's mabni on that haraka. It's not mansoob according to Basri school. You have to say it's mabni on that. So it's mabni on the fatha, mabni on the ya, or mabni on the kasra. But one exemption is that in the mu'annas jama', instead of saying la muslimati, you can also say la muslimata. That's one opinion. Have you understood the summary?
When he said give sadaqah, was he talking about zakat or was he talking about normal sadaqah?
Is this one opinion of some scholars? You say la muslimata or la muslimati. So la muslimati because kasra is a mansub alama, and la muslimata because it matches with la rajula and la taliba. Do you understand?
The order which was given to the women was not for sadaqah.
Okay. And I give an example here. So if you look at it here, so la sahiba ilmin mamqutun. Mamqut means to be despised. So no person of knowledge, provided he acts upon his knowledge, is mamqut, despised. Nobody would dislike a person of knowledge if he has any iman in his heart. So no person of knowledge is mamqut, despised. That's one aspect. So la sahiba ilmin mamqutun. No person of knowledge is despised. So what is this? Mudaf ilay. So sahib is going to be, what's say sahib in? Mansoob. And wala ishrina dirhaman indi. I have no 20 pounds. I have no 20 dirhams. So now ishreen is what? Mabni ala al-ya. It's mabni on the ya because the la is the alamatul nasab of the jam'al mudhakkar salim or shibhuhu. So it's la ishrina dirham. It's mabni with the ya. Understood? Yes? Yes? Now, وإن كان اسمها غير مضاف ولا شبه وإن كان اسمها غير مضاف ولا شبهه بني على الوأبة. If it's not مضاف, not شبه المضاف, then it's going to be مبني. مبني on what? المبني بالفتحة if it's what? موحد means singular or جمع كسر. So you have لا رجل ولا رجال. لا رجل في الدار ولا رجال في الدار. So now it's what مبني على الفتح. وعليه, this has a meaning refers back to the fath, or it can مبني على الفتح. If ism is not مضاف or شبيه بالمضاف, شبه المضاف, this whose the meaning refers back to the مضاف. If the ism is not a مضاف or not شبه المضاف, it will be مبني على الفتح. Okay? When it's what? موحد singular or is جمع مكسر. Okay? And il mabni al al-fathi or mabni al al-kasri in muslimata or muslimati, meaning jam'ul mu'annas salim. Jam'ul mu'annath salimu. If you got jam'ul mu'annath salimu, you can have jam'ul muslimati, mabni al alamat al-nasab, or la muslimata because it rhymes and it has the same pattern as rijala and rajula. And il mabni al al-ya في نحو لا رجلين ولا مسلمين. So there's no رجلين is dual and مسلمين. Okay? Yes? If you go back, I think I made a mistake here. So ishrina is mansoob, not mabni ala, because this is what? This is shabih bil mudhaf. Why? This is a isam doing amal on dirham. The tamyiz, this is the amil, and this is the ma'mul. This is the tamyiz of the dirham. Sorry, tamyiz of ishreen. So this is what? Mansoob, not mabni alal. I don't know what I said that time. This is mansoob alal ya. And in these examples, mabni alal ya. I just think it's overcomplication. Just keep it mansoob. Why make it mabni for? They probably have reasons for it. It's more technical. But it just, if you say it's mansoob, in all cases, it's just so simple. It's a mansoob. The Kufi says it's mansoob with one haraka, not tanween. Simple. It's mansoob with one haraka. That's very easy to understand. But the Ahl Basra have gone down this route. Understood? Any questions? Okay, let's stop here today, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So just finishing off la linafi al-jins, there's one mas'ala here. Now this mas'ala, I'm not going to explain the reason behind of it, just memorize it and just go with it. What's the mas'ala? If you have la linafi al-jins and it's repeated, what's the mas'ala regarding? La linafi al-jins and it comes twice. Then you have two ism of la, don't you? You have la linafi al-jins, it comes twice. So you have two la linafi al-jins. So instead of this saying, the easy way of saying, for example, we say La taliba wa la talibata fil fasli.
this was a prophecy which happened.
So now, simple ways, Ismallah, that's very easy. But there's other ways of doing it as well. That's what he's saying here. So the simple way, for example, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So you have La hawla, Nafil Jins, Isam, Mabni al-Fath, Mabni al-Fath. But there's also other ways of doing it. This table summarizes the ways you do it. Don't worry about this column right now, we do this column later on. Just do this one for now, okay? What do you have here? The first word, when you have it repeated, you have a La Nafil Jins, and you repeat it. Then you got a few more things you can do now. The first one is you're going to make it Fatha. When you say Fatha, what does Fatha mean?
How do they have
No.
Dhimma and Rahim? How they relatives?
Fatha means Mabniyun ala Fathatin Wahidatin. And Mansub means what? Nasab means Mansubun bitanweenin.
Let's see if it's in the next narration.
You understand? It's a difference between the two of them. When you say Fath, what does it mean? Mabni with a single Fatha. And when you say Nasab, what do you mean? Mansub with tanween. You get it? So now, the first word, you can read it with Fatha, or you can read it with Rafa. There's a reason for it. I'm not going to go through all the details. No point at the moment. It's just... So what can you do with the first word? You can either read it as a what? Fatha. And Fatha would mean what? One Fatha, like this. Yes? Or you can read the first word with marfu, which means what? Dhamma, but with what? Tanween. So how many ways can the first word be read? Two ways. Either mabni al-fath or marfu with tanween. So if you want to say la hawla wala hawla or la hawlun wala. Now the second word can either be mabni al-fath, la hawla wala quwwata. It can be marfu, la hawla wala quwwatun, or mansub. Mansub would mean here with tanween as well. La hawla wala quwwatan illa billah. So when you have the first word of the fatha, la hawla, la hawla, la hawla, la hawla wala quwwatan, number one. La hawla wala quwwatan, that's the easiest one. The normal rule, la hawla wala quwwatan. The second way is having la hawla wala quwwatun, marfu. Or la hawla wala quwwatan, mansub bi tanween. Or you can make it marfu. You can make the second word what? First word marfu, la hawlun wala hawlun. And then it's mabni al-fatha, la hawlun wala quwwata, or la hawlun wala quwwatan, both marfu. There's a marfu as well. It's 5 ways you can read it. There's a reason for it, but I'm not going to explain it and get a bit more complicated. Just remember this. So first option is fatha, first word, or second word rafa. And then the second word can either be fatha, rafa, or nasab. Fatha, rafa, but no nasab in here. You can't make it mansub.
So Pharaoh let him go.
Do you understand?
And he gifted him a slave.
The same rule also applies to the nat of the ismula. If you have a nat of the ismula, you can read it 3 ways as well. Say for example, there is no pious man in Makkah. So la rajula, not in Makkah, I said Makkah because the other said Makkah. My mind went 2 places. Fil bayt. So la rajula saliha fil bayt. Or marfu, la rajula salihun. Or la rajula salihan. This is spelled wrong. Doesn't matter about that, yeah. So la rajula saliha, la rajula salihun, or la rajula salihan. So whether it's but only these 3 ways you can do it. Okay? So if you a nat. So he's mixed 2 mas'ala together. He's mixed the mas'ala of the nat and he's mixed the mas'ala of the repeated la. To try to put them together, but it's a bit confusing. So you said there's 2 mas'ala here. One mas'ala is what? What's the first mas'ala? Mas'ala number 1 is what? The repeated la is a nat. The repeated la has 5 ways, and the nat has how many ways? 3 ways. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Okay, that's what he's saying here. So now he's explaining a text. So if we have la hawla wa la quwwata, what does that mean? If you have a scenario where there is a la repeated, then you have 2 ism of la, don't you? So there are 5 ways you can read it. And it's basically, all you have to do is just do this one. This is the easiest one. La ismul jins, hawla, la is nafil jins, hawla is mabni al-fath. La quwwata, mabni al-fath. That's the easiest one. But just to know, you can do the others as well. So you can have fathul awwal. Fathul awwal means the first la hawla. And la quwwata. So fathul awwal may mabni. What fathul awwal means? It's mabni al-fath. Okay? Then in the second one, what can you do? Al-fathu wal-nasbu wal-raf'u. So what's fathu going to become? Wala quwwa. What does it be? What is fathu? La quwwa. Ta. An-nasab, la quwwa. What's nasab going to be? La quwwa. Tan. And rafu is going to be? Quwwatun. So la hawla wa la quwwata tantun. Kas-sifa. Now he makes another masla. If you got a sifa, you can also make it what? La rajula zari wa fa. Not have too much fun in class. What? Fa, fun and fun. Fi, fi, fo, fam. Not fi, fi, fo, fam. Dharifa, dharifan, dharifun. Fa, fun, fun. Yes? Are you following? Yes? And waraf'uhu ay. What's this who referring to? Al-awwal. You can make the first marfu, meaning you can have la haw. La haw. No, when it's rafa, it's not one dhamma. It's going to be how many dhammas? Tanween. La hawlun. And then what we have in quwwa, you can't do nasab. So what can you do? The other two, which is going to be what? Fatha. No, we're doing hawlun for. We're doing hawlun. And the quwwa has 2 possibilities. Ta, you can't do nasab. You can't do this one. But you can do the others. You can do fatha and you can do raf'a, which is what? Quwwatun. That's what's mentioned here. Look. If you go to the table again. So la haw. So if you go to table again here. So if you go to the table again, what do we have here? Fathul awwal. Wa fathu thani. Wa raf'u thani. Wa nasbu thani. And raf'a means with tanween. With tanween. And with tanween. Okay? Or raf'u thani and fathul awwal, fathu thani, raf'u thani, and the nasab is going to be what? Impermissible. And if you've got a nat, you can also do all 3 in a nat. Abdurrahman, you following? Do you understand? So should we repeat it again? So there is 2 mas'ala here. The mas'ala number 1 is, if you have la linafi al-jins, and the la linafi al-jins is repeated, you end up having what? 2 ism of la. So if you never knew this mas'ala, what would you have done? Ever said, la tali, what would it be? La tali, simple rule is going to be la tali. La taliba. And if it's repeated, wa la taliba, no female student, wa la taliba ta fil madrasati. That's simple because it's line lafi jins ism is going to be mabni al-fath, mabni al-fath. That's his first mas'ala. But there are also 4 other ways. You keep this fatha, then you do all 3. And next one. So you do fatha on the first one, mabni al-fatha, then you have fatha, rafa, and nasab. Or la haw, la ta, so you can say la talibun, wa la talibat ta, wa la talibatun. There's 5 ways of doing it. And the first, the same will apply to the nat. If you have a nat, the first word will be fatha. For example, here, la rajula, la rajula, la rajula. And the saliha, salihun, salihan. Understood? It's up to you. You will see it using different poetry. But what comes in the Quran? In the Quran, وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Not in the Quran. It's coming in the Quran. It doesn't come in the Quran. It comes in the dhikr, adhkar. Yes? It doesn't come in the Quran. وَلَوْلَا إِذْ دَخَلْتَ جَنَّتَكَ قُلْتَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهُ. What is it? You're making up in the Quran now. Yeah, but it comes la hawla wa la quwwata. What is it? La hawla wa la quwwata. Even the dhikr comes la hawla wa la quwwa. Okay? So far so good?
have said, you know, Amma
Yes?
is talking about the Bani Abdi.
Now, he's saying here, let's answer the first masala.
When he was Khassa, it's like when he said, Ya Qawm,
If you have two ism,
so he called the tribe.
but there's no la repeated, wa illam tukarrar la, there's no la repeated. What's happening here?
I do not possess lakum
La is what?
Allahi shay'an. What
La is what?
Allah mean?
Not repeated. La is what? Not repeated. So la hawla wa, not wa la quwwa, it's la hawla wa quwwa. What happens now? What do you have to do? Then you can't do fatha, you can't do fatha. Or you can't do this. So if you say la hawla wa quwwa, there has to be wa quwwatun wa quwwatan. You can't have la hawla wa la quwwata. So you can't have la hawla wa quwwata. You have to have la hawla wa la hawla wa quwwatun wa la hawla wa quwwatun. So when you have you don't repeat the la, only two are permissible. This is permissible, this is permissible.
That's what. No, min Allah is not always talking about, even in the Quran, min adab.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet. We haven't done that yet. Wa illam tukarrar la. So the first mas'ala is if you have two ism, but the la is not repeated.
Rahiman.
What's the mas'ala?
Rahiman means ties of kinship. Like you're close to me in relation. What is the word?
And the top mas'ala was what? When you have two ism and how many? And two las.
No, Bilal means wet, moist.
So that's what we're saying here.
So I
Similarly, if fusilat is sifatu, the sifa does not come immediately after, a sifa meaning a nat. If the nat does not come immediately after, the nat does not come immediately after the man'ut, then you also only have two choices. La rajula fi dar, no pious man is in the house. What's happening here? Between the man'ut and nat, what do we have? Yeah, the khabar.
we're coming there. It's coming.
We got a fasl. There's no man in the house. What kind of man? Salih. So we can't do the first one. We can't do these two. We can only do what? Marfu and mansub. La rajula fi dari salihun or la rajula fi dari salihan. We can't say la rajula fi dari saliha. Do you understand?
You can say it both ways.
Have you understood?
Bilal. Yeah?
So if you look at text again, وَإِن لَمْ تُكَرَّرْ لَا, and if la is not repeated, like here, then you can أو فُصِلَتِ الصِّفَةِ, or there's a space between the man'ut and the na, the sifa is separated from the mawsuf. Or if it's not mufrad, meaning it's mudaf, is what? Mudaf ilayh. La طالب علم.
Of these ties. بالحرارة.
Then امتنع الفتح. Then you can't make it mabni al al-fath. Imtana al-fath meaning it's not mabni al al-fath. You can't make it mabni al-fath. What does it become?
So he's saying that
Becomes either this becomes what? Mansub. This is mansub, not mabni al-fath. And this example you can also have marfu.
now to extinguish this fire, I use
It's not a mudaf, it's not mufrad. And mufrad mean it's not mufrad meaning it's what?
this
It's a composition of mudaf ilayh.
fire is known as silatul rahim.
As I said to you before, the word mufrad is a bit confusing because you use the word mufrad in two ways, singular and composition. So mufrad here means not single and plural, but one word or a mudaf ilayh structure. So if it's not a single word, rather it's a mudaf ilayh structure, it becomes mansub, like la taliba ilmin. So in this scenario, it's not mabani al-fath, it's going to be just mansub. Have you understood?
All you have to know what isti'ara is a type of
Yeah?
method.
Any questions? Have you understood this?
You have to,
Yeah. You have to,
Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa
Would you-
sallam is saying that breaking up of
Go ahead.
kinship is a fire. And then
it's, yeah, when it is mudaf alayh and not a single word, it'll be mansub, like taliba ilmin. So when you do i'rab, you won't say taliban mabni al-fath. What do you say here?
then he's taken the
Mansubun, what?
which is the breaking up of kinship with the fire.
Mansubun bil fathi.
And he's
Do you understand?
only mentioned this. He's only mentioned
And in la hawla, what's the i'rab of this? Hawla is what?
therefore he's not tashbih for
Mabniyun ala al-fathi. Do you understand?
That means an I will.
Is mabni bil fathati, sorry. Any other questions? This is a bit difficult, but you just get it in your mind once so that you know where this masala comes. If you need to refer to it again, you can refer to it. But it's not so common, but you have to know it just for the exams.
You know, in terms of when it says,
What do you mean?
"La amliku lakum min Allah shay'an,"
No, it's never imtana al-rafa, it's only imtana al-nasab.
Allah away from you, except
Is imtana al-nasab here and imtana al-fathu here?
There's like a hidden question here. No one sometimes really comes to that.
Okay, subhanallah wa bihamdihi subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.